Life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle, with Belle, with Belle. On YouTube starting very soon, so stay tuned. Belle is getting ready for you. Quilting, teaching, sewing, making lovely things. Come on and join us. It's almost time for Thread Life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle. Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life with Belle, starting soon.
Hello, quilty friends. Welcome to Thread Life with Belle on Friday. I am glad you're here. You might be wondering, what am I doing today? Well, I'm living magnetically, as you can see. It's all about magnetic cutting mats and boosters and EPP that have to do with magnets. So I'm here today to talk about Sewtites and their new expanded cutting mat, as well as a lot of the other things that I use of theirs too. So this is their t-shirt. So today I don't have on my Thread Life with Belle t-shirt. I'm actually wearing their t-shirt, and it is like 100 degrees here. It's really hot. So I hope you guys are staying cool. Hello, Lisa, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Lisa's one of my #1 commenters. You see the little crown there? It says #1. So the more people comment, you get all these little badges and fun things. It's kind of gamified a little bit, so that's fun. Yeah, so hit the like button, subscribe if you guys are new to my channel, Thread Life with Belle. Let's see, I started doing lives the 1st of April. And so here we are 3 months later, April, May, June, July, 4 months later. And I want to say thank you to all my thread masters. So those are actually members of my channel that get extra special things that other people don't get. So thank you for those of you that are thread masters, and thank you for those of you that are just general subscribers that show up whenever I do these lives. So I was here on Monday doing an unboxing of the Modern American Vintage Notions, and today I am back talking all about Sewtites. So I don't know if any of you use any of the Sewtites products. I was a customer of theirs before I actually started really kind of promoting their stuff. So I want to give full disclaimer, and I'm going to show you also the things I started out with when I first started using them. I sampled their stuff when I was at trade shows to make sure, you know, that I kind of like them and all of that stuff. Yeah, Lisa, you wondered what your little crown meant? Yeah, when you comment, you get like badges on who interacts the most. So it's kind of gamified here on the channel, which is fun. I am going to be doing a giveaway of a set of Sewtites magnets. So if you stay to the very end of the show today, I will be sending this out. It's free. And it's free shipping if you are in the United States. If you're outside the United States, you'll have to cover shipping, but the product is still free. So I'm going to be showing you what these are, but I'm also going to be giving a pack away thanks to Sewtites. So I've got that for you as well today. So I'm going to set that aside. So let me ask Lisa, or any of you that are here, introduce yourself. Have you used anything from Sewtites before? I'm curious to know. I started out with their little magnets for English paper piecing. And then I've worked my way up to the rotating magnetic cutting mat and the square ruler that goes with that. Then to their cutting mat they had before this one that just came out this week. Like they were shipped out, well, they were shipped out last week. I just got mine this week and have kind of been getting acclimated to what all it does. And I'm gonna share with you all the specifics of the rulers, the boosters, the magnets, and how the whole thing works. And then your options, if you decide that you want to get some of these things, you can buy it as a system. You can buy things separately. I have a coupon code, which is Belle15 for 15% off. All of the links are in the description box below for the things I'm going to talk about today, as well as just a link to their website in general. Belle 15. Oh, okay. You can edit it. It's Belle 15. So Quilt Husband's going to edit, I guess, in the description. I must have wrote just Belle. It's Belle 15. He'll edit that for you below, but you can get 15% off. You've not used it before, Lisa? Okay. Well, and that's partly why I thought I would do this, because a lot of the products I use of theirs are in a lot of my videos that I do. And so people will ask and they wonder about it, especially my rotating 11-inch Sewtites mat. So I'll show you guys the other things after I cover this full expanded 42-inch mat. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. And then I'll talk about the other products that I have. They have a few more things that I don't have, but you can see everything on their website. There may be other things you want to try out as well. So we've got that. I've got some fabric. So I've got regular cotton fabric. I've got leather. I've got cork. And I also have paper for patterns if you make clothes. So I've just started dabbling in making clothes, garments, simple things. I'm actually headed to a serger class in Dallas next weekend to learn how to make some garments. But I've got a paper pattern here. I'm going to kind of show you kind of how that works with the magnets and all, and why it makes it easier. And then also I have a cardboard template. I use their rotating cutting mat a lot for that. If you use templates a lot, then you'll find that these magnets with a mat make it a lot easier. So I'll talk about all the features of the mats, and especially this expanded one. So the big thing to let you know about this new expanded mat is previous to the one I'm getting ready to show you, it was a 20 by 24. And I have that. It's actually next to this large one now. So this large one is the one I'm going to be showing you and that I'll use the most. That is 24 by 42. So guess what that means, y'all? You actually can see and cut a full yard of fabric. Because as you know, most cutting mats, the ones that are good quality that I've used in the past, only go to 36 inches. So you can't always see the cutting lines. You've got your fabric that's all the way to the very edge, and it's really not big enough for 42-inch width of fabric. So that I was super excited about, because I do cut a lot of fabric. Even when I'm kind of now cutting garment material, there's a lot of fabric on this table. So now I have that mat here, and I'm going to show all this to you. And then I have my smaller Sewtites cutting mat that I had before, that also work with the boosters. It's 20 by 24. So there's two sizes of the square cutting mats, and then you have one size of the rotating cutting mat, okay? And they have rulers to go with it that have magnets in them, and then there's these boosters. There's also magnets for the long arm, and I have not used those yet, but I'll be doing a tutorial on how to sew those into your leaders on your long arm. There's also some stuff to hold your snips and also your quilts on the wall. They have a magnetic system to hold your quilts. So that's what we're going to go over today. All right, let's switch to the overhead view here. And this is the mat. So I'm going to kind of scan the length of it. So the new one here is 24, so it's 24 inches this way and 42 inches all the way out to the edge. So I'm going to kind of scan over so that you can see. So it starts here and it goes all the way down to here. And my quilt husband built me this huge cutting table back when I first started quilting. And so I have it pretty long. Now I have the smaller Sewtites cutting mat that I had before this large one, and this one is 20 by 24 on this side. You can see my boosters here, and then of course the rotating mat as well, and then some of the other products I'm going to show you in a little bit. So this is how my setup is now. So when we got back from vacation, I put this on the table, and I've used it a little bit this week and have watched some of the videos just to make sure I understood everything was the same. There's some improvements with these two rulers. as opposed to the original one that came with this smaller mat. There's a couple of changes that they made. Still a great ruler, but a couple of changes. So I'll explain that to you if you have the smaller mat with this ruler. I'll explain the difference between that and then the new mat and these rulers. So that is what we're going to be looking at today. So I wanted you to see just kind of how big this is. So, you know, some people may not have this large of a table. Quilt Husband, like I said, he built this for me. It raises and lowers, although I leave it at this amount. And then I actually have, I'll kind of show you, it's a little busy back here, but I actually have this whole section back here of my table that he built off that kind of holds, you know, my other things. And I also do shipping off the other side as well. So I do have a larger table. But if you don't have this large of a table, then it may be that this smaller mat might be the one that you like better. So just wanted to give you some options there. So here's what we're going to talk about with the features of all of this. And I'm going to zoom in now that you can see the full, let me scooch back out, the full size of the mat. We're gonna actually now just come here to the part where you can see kind of everything here in front of me. So what is special about this mat that there's not in any other mat? It's that this mat is 7 layers, and there's 3 layers on the top. The middle layer is metal for the magnet, and then there's 3 layers in the bottom. All right. And so you've also got 2 colorways. So with this mat, and I'll show you really quickly so you can see, it matters and it helps. I know it does for me because I do a lot of videos. Now, some of you may not do a lot of videos, so that may not be a bonus reason that you would want it, but it has to do with being able to see your fabric. So this is the light gray. It's a very light gray with black lines. And what this works ideally for is for the darker fabrics. So when you have darker fabrics like this, you can see really well. If this was dark and this was dark, it's harder to kind of see your lines. And I'll go over the rulers in a minute, but you can see here that it's a lot easier to be able to see through to the light gray when you've got your dark fabric up against it. Now this ruler has a magnet, so these are magnets here, and then we've got the extra boosters to be able to put on there, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. But first I wanted to explain the mat. You've got the light side here, and then let me show you the dark side. So this can actually be flipped over so you can see the dark side here. Like this. And the nice thing is this is made for left hand and right hand. So you could, if you're a lefty, then you can actually spin the mat. Well, this is actually lefty right now. And so if I spin it around, it would be for right-handed. And this dark gray or darker gray, I shouldn't say it's the darkest because I've seen darker before, but this is like a darker gray, is for your light fabric. So you see how well you can see that contrast there with that. And then when you put your ruler up against it here, you can definitely see the contrast, and you can be able to see your line here on that. So depending on the color of fabric that I might be cutting, I can just flip this mat over and, you know, change that out. Especially for me, a lot of it has to do too with the videoing that I do and being able to see that on the screen here. So we'll put this kind of back in place. And like I said, I have mine butted up next to the smaller one. So yeah, really nice. So let me talk about the mat first, and then we'll talk about the rulers, and then we'll talk about the boosters, and then we'll talk about the other products of theirs so that you kind of know what it's all about. Now, one of the great things is if you use Sewtites or you decide to use it, I would follow their YouTube channel because they have a lot of videos about all of their products. And then there's other people like me that end up making videos as well about those things too. Okay, so I've explained there's a magnet in here. So this is self-healing. Some mats that you might order off Amazon or whatever, when I was first quilting, did not really appreciate the meaning of the word self-healing. Some mats you get are not self-healing. So after just cutting several times, especially if you're cutting on the same line, if you use your mat a lot rather than the ruler, then your lines on non-self-healing mats, you're gonna have to replace your mat much more often. And I learned that pretty quickly when I was a new quilter, that not all mats are created equal. So with this, it is truly self-healing. It feels good. So you've got 3 layers on the top, the metal, and then 3 layers on the bottom. So when you flip this over, you've still got 3 layers and it's self-healing. So what that means is this mat's gonna last you a lot longer because you've got 2 sides, 3 levels, 3 layers, and it's self-healing. All right, so that's something about this. You've got the dark and the light side. So that other side that I showed you, it has white lines on it. I meant to mention that when I flipped that over. That has white lines, this one has the dark lines. So you've got that contrast to be able to see it well. The nice thing too is you can fit a full 42-inch width strip of fabric on here. The mat I had before was not Sewtites, and I liked it. It was a great mat, but no magnets, and it was only 36 inches. So you can't see like the lines after that. You can't cut a full width of strip of fabric, and most of the ones I get off the bolt, the width of fabric is 42. So that's really, really nice that's that way. So you also have 1 inch and 1/2 inch axis. So they made some improvements from the smaller mat here. It did not have these axis lines. So I'm gonna show you why that's important. Let me grab a block. This is the next block in my beginner sampler series. This is the August block that'll be coming out August 1st. This was my sample that I did first, my test block, before I use the other fabric that I'm going to use. And so when you're trimming down an hourglass quilt, I'm going to show you why these lines are helpful. To trim down this block, if you don't have a 12-inch square ruler, you line up the corners on the 45-degree axis here, okay? And then with your ruler, you actually measure over, and you're going to put your ruler here in the center. And if this was a lot larger, because I've had to trim it down, I'm going to be cutting 6 1/4 on this side, 6 1/4 to this side, so that it actually equals 12 1/2 to be able to trim this block down. So that axis point is helpful to have on a mat for that reason, if you were wondering kind of what those lines are about. I think when you do Lone Star quilts, I've not made one before, but there's a lot of reasons that people like to have that. So you've got a 45-degree angle, there's 30 here, 60 here, and then of course you've got your lines that go out that way as well. So that is on there, and I'll scan over so you can see if you have flipped this mat around, if you're a lefty, then when you do that, oops, let me go this way, and up here in the corner, always get this kind of turned around a little bit. There it is here. You can see it here, same thing, it's just a mirror image, and then the lines go this way. So whichever way you need to turn it, then that can be really, really helpful for you that way. So that's just kind of just an example there of why that can be helpful to have that. Okay, and then you've also got as far as your markings. So with your markings, you've got your 1/8 inch, you've got a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and a 1 inch. Because sometimes we have to cut, things in really strange ways, right? So you can see all those there. So an 1/8 inch, a 1/4 inch, there's even the marks, of course, so you can see when I say there's an 1/8 of an inch, you can get all the way to 3/4, 1/2 an inch, 1 inch. So you've got all of those, which is really nice on there too, okay? Any questions about the mat? Hello, Christy, welcome. Christy's got her teal badge, which means she's a Thread Life member longer than 1 month. She's 2 months, and then also number 2 commenter. So the little crowns you guys have just means y'all are really interactive in the chat. Hello, Annette from Hot Muggy, Kissimmee, Florida. Yeah, we were actually just down in Panama City last week, and it was hot and it was muggy, and I actually got sunburned a little bit. So Annette, it's hot here back in Arkansas too. So yeah, we just got to try to do what we can to stay cool. Okay, any more questions about the magnetic mat itself? Because I'm going to move on to the rulers to kind of show you how all of this works together. All right, the rulers that came with this, if you buy the system, so you've got some options here, and I apologize, I might need to turn off this overhead light for a sec. when I talk about these rulers so there's not a glare. So I'm going to turn this off for a minute. If you buy the system, then you get the boosters and you get the 2 rulers with it. Or you can buy the mat separately and maybe you just want one of these rulers. All right. You can use, other rulers with this. However, if you know what I didn't know when I very first started quilting, you really are not supposed to mix and match rulers with a mat during a project. So if you use one mat, you need to use the same ruler through the whole cutting of that, because rulers can be slightly off. The best practice recommendation for this is to use the Sewtites rulers with the Sewtites mat. But you don't have to. You can use another ruler with it. It's just it won't have these magnets in here. So these have magnets. Actually, that's what these little round things are, and that's where the boosters go in all of these. But you can do it. So when I use my rotating Sewtites cutting mat, I actually sometimes use other smaller rulers, and the boosters will keep it down, even though I've not always used the small square Sewtites ruler with that. All right. So on the rulers here with the system that you get these 2 rulers, this mat, and then you get 12 boosters. Let's talk about the rulers. So one of the things that they did is, compared to the ruler they had before, with the smaller one, which is this one, there was no grippy on the back and the magnets were down the center. And this ruler still works great, but also the edge up here is beveled. So some people, which I don't think I've ever used a ruler this way, but some people will cut up it and then they'll also cut on this side. And you can't really do that with a beveled edge here. So one of the things they did was with these rulers, they got rid of the beveled edge and they added grippy. So on this teal color here, you actually can feel the grippy on here all the way around. And so what happens is when you set this on your fabric, it doesn't move. Not only does it have just the mats, I mean, it takes a little bit to move it. You're not gonna have as much slippage even without the booster, because of the magnets in the ruler that work with the mat and the grippy on the back. All right, so that is on both of these. This ruler is the largest. It's an 8.5 by 24. So it fits the full width of the mat, which is 24 inches. Plus there's just the extra that's just, you know, around the edge to show the measurements. And then it's 8.5 wide. All right. This one is 6.5 by 12.5 inch, and it has the exact same features. So what are the features of each of these? So there are little magnets right here, and what happens is you can put your boosters, and they moved the magnets to be all the way around the edges. So let me kind of expand a little bit far away so you can see all of this here. That out of the way. So this is where the boosters go on here. And I mean, it's not moving. I mean, I'm actually doing this. Now it did there when I pressed really hard. I mean, it takes quite a bit to move that, okay? Another thing is if you have fabric underneath here, so let's put this, I'm gonna move these off. If you put fabric underneath here, we'll put it on this side. Pretend this is a whole big piece of fabric here. And you want extra stability. What you can do is you can put a couple magnets on the side over here for even like extra stability. Say you had trouble, arthritis, or maybe a hand or wrist injury, carpal tunnel, and it's really hard for you to put a lot of pressure with, say, this hand like you normally would hold your ruler down. Now, they don't recommend it, but some people are actually able to cut their fabric without touching the ruler when you add those extra boosters on the side plus the boosters here. So I'm gonna do that without holding it. And the ruler does not move at all. So technically you could cut fabric if you had a wrist injury. Like I said, it's best when you just have light, I mean literally light pressure on here. You really don't need it. But their overall recommendation is to go ahead and put just your hand here just a little bit. And of course, we were taught to put our pinky off the side. When I first learned to use a ruler and cut, that kind of helps. But if you think about it, really the boosters here kind of take the place of your pinky now. But I just cut that without actually cutting this. So I think that's really helpful. I don't have carpal tunnel or wrist issues yet, but I think for those that did, that really didn't want to be, you know, incapacitated and not able to cut their fabric, then look, you're able to do it without this moving. So kind of to repeat, you've got the magnets that are already in here without the boosters, all right? And these can they just slide off to the side on the mat. So if you didn't want to use the boosters, you don't have to. It still kind of stays in place, but you know, you can move it a little easier. When you put the boosters on, it's not going to move. And that is the same for the smaller one. The smaller one has a booster here, 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 and here for where the boosters go on that. All right. Okay. Something else about this. I'm going to move these over here out of the way on this other mat. And let's talk a little bit about what all is on the ruler here. So let's get in kind of close. So with the ruler here, you've got the black here. These are for your 1-inch markings on your ruler. And then if you turn it around, this is for your 1/2 inch. So 7.5, 6.5. This would be 8.5 all the way to the end. So you just turn it around like this, depending on if you need to use 1 inch or the 1/2 inch part there like that, which is nice. This side here shows a 1/2 inch on that teal color there where the grippy also is. This side is a 1/4 inch, which is really handy sometimes when you just need to do like a little bit of trimming. You've got your 1/4 inch mark right there, which is really, really nice. Hey, Brenda, welcome. Yeah, AccuQuilt has helped people too. So with things like that that are helpful with, you know, if you've got wrist issues, arthritis, injuries, or things like that, I think that it's really nice that people can have that option. I know sometimes it can be a bit more pricey. This is, you know, this is a top end type of product here. But for some people, it helps them where they can keep quilting, right? Or it just makes things where there's less mistakes. And I know for me, that's helpful. It just makes things easier where there's less mistakes. So let's see here. The lines also, they perfectly match the mat. So when you line up your lines, I'm gonna do this here and you can actually see, they all line up perfectly. And when you use a different ruler, I'll scoot this one over a little bit. When you use a different ruler, that's not going to happen necessarily. So I know, you know, I've had some friends that manufactured a ruler, and if these are not perfect, you're going to have problems, or it's not going to be quite as easy. So those all match up perfectly on here. Look at that. All the marks on the mat are exactly lined up too on this ruler here. So this has got magnets in it, so you got to kind of get it, you know, perfect on there like that, which is, you know, really nice to have everything just kind of line up there. So that is another feature, that all of those lines line up. Now keep in mind, if you don't use one of these rulers with this mat, make sure you use the same ruler when you cut all your fabrics through the whole project, because you could be off, you know, a 1/16 of an inch and things may not match up for you. So, and with this, you can use, of course, the mat, or you can use the ruler for your markings. And there's times we do have to use the mat. Normally, we use the markings on the ruler. And another thing too, for that is using your ruler means you don't have to cut in the same spot on your mat all the time. Even though this is self-healing, I'm sure after several years, you know, it's not going to be as perfect. There's going to be probably teeny grooves, because eventually, right, if you're cutting deeper and deeper and deeper, I mean, and redoing it every time it heals, there's going to be some weakness in there. So what's best is to move it around, move your ruler around. So let me use the smaller one. So say I'm going to cut, I'm going to cut a 2-inch strip here on this one. So I'm not going to line up with the 2-inch mark down here, I can line it up somewhere else. I'll just put it on a half, just somewhere on there. And I'm actually going to use the line here on the ruler. So sometimes I know when I was new and I didn't really appreciate not using the same spot on my mat every time, and they weren't as quality mats, eventually these would not cut as well because there was a groove down in these. So you don't have to worry about that. But again, there's times you do need to use the lines on your mat. And then there's times where usually you don't have to, you can just use, you know, the ruler. Okay, the boosters. So on this one, you got 4 spots for the smaller one here, for smaller things on there. And like I said, if you want, you can add the boosters to the side for extra stability if you need that. This one, again, this has 4, but the other one here has 6. It has a lot more to that one. All right. The other thing is, this ruler is a little bit thicker. So if you've got a lot of fabrics, like really thick stacked up fabrics, using a 60mm rotary cutter is ideal when you have a huge stack of fabrics, because for some rotary cutters, this will bump up against the edge of the ruler if you've got a thick stack of fabric. So, you know, if you've got some leather or what have you, and you use a 45mm rotary cutter, then you may bump the edge of this. So lots of us don't cut really huge stacks of fabric, but if you do, just kind of keep that in mind there. This is my favorite rotary cutter. This is from Havel's, and it just happens that it matches the Sewtites stuff. But I like the Havel's because this is a safety guard, and what happens is when you press this down, the blade comes out, and then when I lift it up, it goes back, and I don't have to lock it. Even though there's a lock, it's my absolute favorite. So I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. They've got the 45mm and the 60mm. It's also got the grippy, and it's ergonomically correct. So it just happens to match if you want to be all matchy-matchy. All right, let's see what else. Okay, let me show you the things that this will hold. So I'm gonna take these boosters off, and let's look at some of the different fabrics that this will hold. We'll set this one over here. Now, because there are magnets in here, if you're like, just want to lift it up pretty easy, you can just put 2 boosters here and lift it up, because you do have to kind of slide it a sec to lift it up and take it off. So if you find that, you know, you're having to do that, you can just put 2 boosters here and it lifts up like that, if you want to make it super easy. All right. Okay, let's look here what I've got. So I've got cork, which is nice. So let's put some cork under here. And this is just like scraps of it. So we'll just kind of put that under there. And I'm not making anything with it, so we'll just put the boosters on. I'm going to put a couple on the edge there. And again, you don't really have to put any pressure on here. You can still do your pinky if that's what you're used to cut it. I'm actually not going to, just to kind of show you it doesn't move. And there you go. Now again, they do suggest you do keep your hand kind of on it, but if you do this, you actually technically don't have to, especially if you're not like scooching it over. So there is the cork. And then I've also got some leather. So this is kind of thick. This leather is here. This is just some scrap leather. We'll put that down. And this is thicker. So, I mean, I don't have to use a 60mm rotary cutter, but if I had like several, let's double this up. We're gonna double it up. It's a lot thicker that way. And I mean, most quilters don't really sew with leather, but if you are a bag maker, say you like to make bags, we'll put these boosters on here. I mean, this is pretty thick, and I'm gonna put them on the side. I've got some extras here, just for extra stability there. And I could cut it without my hand. I'm just gonna kind of rest it on there. Might need a new blade, but there you go. I mean, that's pretty thick. This is leather that's doubled over. So you can see here how thick that is. There, that was 2 pieces underneath there. So pretty impressive, I think. And then of course, just your regular quilting cotton. So, you know, sometimes we might do, if you're doing fat quarters, sometimes I'll do like 4. I'll cut 4 at a time, usually not more than that. I know, Brenda, isn't the rotary cutter, like, it's my all-time favorite. I have both sizes, the 45 and the 60 millimeter. They have the blades too, and they're just really, really wonderful. People actually have all their scissors and their snips. So I was a fan before I was an ambassador with Havells. So full disclosure there. Y'all know I don't show you anything that I don't like or I don't think works, and this does. Okay, let's see. The ruler. You can get left-handed and right-handed in their rulers here. So you've got this one, you've got this one. So that's really nice. You can choose to order if you're a lefty, you can do that. And you know, that's nice whenever you know, are different that way and you need things a little different to have that as an option, which is really good. All right, use a lot of cork and faux leather along with quilting cotton. Okay, Lisa, so what do you like, do you make bags and stuff? Is that why you have that? Yeah, well, I do too. I mean, it also minky, so it also, I don't have any with me, but that was mentioned too in the educational piece that I watched about the mat before it came, is minky also as well, which, you know, sometimes you have to cut that if you're putting it on the back of a quilt or maybe the back of a tote or a pillow or something. So it'll work for that. And you get 16 boosters. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 16, there's extra that you can put, you know, along the side if you need to. So I will say when I very first got this mat, my other mat, and this is an easy fix, this little magnet kind of popped out of the booster, and I just got some Gorilla Glue and just put a little bit inside there and put the magnet back on. So I do want to say, in full disclosure, that did happen on one of mine. They actually sent me a replacement even though they didn't have to, just because I let them know, you know, hey, you know, FYI, this happened. Really sweet about it. So that is that. So 16 boosters. They've got more rulers to come, they said, so there'll be more than just, well, there's these 2 sizes. There's also, this is a smaller one. So this one is the 6.5 by 24. So let me show that to you. And this comes with the smaller 20 by 24 inch mat. But this is the other one. It's 24.5. But like I said, it has the beveled edges down here on both ends. But I never use that end to cut. So, you know. Lisa, your husband's a lefty. So yeah, I mean, he might like this. So that might work for him. What were you wondering, Brenda? When am I doing my next live with S&P? It's Thursday. I will be on, they probably have already announced that. I'll be on Sewing Machines Plus on Thursday, and I'm actually doing for them my needle book T-Wallet tutorial. It'll be about 30 minutes, and I'm gonna talk about the highlights of my Juki DX4000 when I'm doing that. So yeah, maybe I'll see some of you over there on Sewing Machines Plus on Thursday. That is at noon Central Standard Time. Okay, so there's these 3 rulers. Now there's another one, and that came with, let me scooch these over. This is their other mat that they have, a rotating cutting mat. And this ruler is the one, this is the square 6.5 by 6.5 inch ruler, and it has the magnets. Now, I use this mat all the time because it spins, and it is self-healing. I've had other mats, and you know how sometimes the square ones, you have to set them on top of a base and it kind of fits down in there, but it's not like always so secure. Well, with this one, you don't have that issue, and there's kind of this grippy on the bottom on here, and so it stays in place on your mat. You've also got, same thing on this one, your axis line. So you've got your 45, your 30, and your 60. Excuse me, this is 11 inches in circumference around, and it is a magnet in here as well. So let me show you what I use this one for. Let me get my template. So y'all know my Friendship Blooms pattern that I have with the pretty little flowers that you applique on top of a pieced block. So I use it for this. So you just imagine you have your fabric underneath here. This is thick cardstock, And I would put that on here, and then I put my boosters on. You can put however many you want. And then I have my water-soluble pen. And what I do is I literally, because this rotates, I'll do it for you. I hold my pen here, and this is a little marker. I just move the rotating cutting mat. I don't move this marker. I'm leaving this in the same spot, pretty much. I mean, you kind of move it a little bit, and then you just turn the rotating cutting mat. So you don't have to like turn this while it's on just a regular mat. You could. I mean, the boosters still work on this. So if you don't want to get this, you can't afford it yet or whatever, the boosters will do all of this right here I just showed you on your magnetic cutting mat. So that's an option there for you. So that is why I love this, and also for trimming. So I trim, we all trim a lot, especially half square triangles, right? And so this is perfect for when you're trimming the half square triangles. Let me see here if I've got something. I don't think I have any half square triangles made, but we'll just pretend here that I'm trimming this. If I have this ruler here, and I was trimming this to, let's see, just say we're trying to trim this down to 2 by 2, all right? We'll put the boosters on here, and then get my rotary cutter. That's the other reason I like this, is because if I forgot to lock it, which I don't ever do, when my hand like accidentally hits it, I don't cut myself. So same with this one. I mean, this ruler, I mean, you can see I'm spinning it around and it is not moving out of the way. You can just put just barely put your hand on there. I just put it on the side. And then you can turn the mat to trim it. You don't have to, well, I probably need a new blade on here. You don't have to lift the ruler up and then turn it around. So I use this all the time, which is really handy. So all of this, the whole system works throughout all of their products, which is really, really nice. So that is their 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch ruler. You used to catch your husband using your rotary cutter and mat cutting gaskets and stuff, Brenda? Woo! So Quilt Husband kind of got in the doghouse a little bit today. Or not today, yesterday. He was putting together my long arm, and he was needing to cut some stuff, and I wasn't out here. And rather than use these, which are for everything but fabric, y'all, Quilt Husband used my good Havel's scissors. It's got the teeth in it. And so now, when you get to the end, it doesn't cut right. So he kind of got in a little bit of trouble, and now he knows, don't be doing that, right? It happens to all of us. Quilt Husband used Belle's fabric scissors to cut a zip tie. Yep, that's what it was. He cut a zip tie. So it wasn't like a minor thing. The scissors are ruined. So, yep, going in the trash. Okay, I digress. I still love him. He doesn't make mistakes, actually, hardly very often at all. And we all make them. So now he knows. That's what we call a teaching moment in our house, right? Rather than a mistake. That would be horrid. She was cutting paper with them. Yeah, I know. And these are great Havel scissors. Like, they're really good scissors. They have these little teeth for applique so they don't slip when you're cutting stuff. Anyway, he learned. He now knows. Okay, so that is the rotating 12-inch cutting mat. Love it, and you can get the boosters that go with that too. Now let me show you another reason why I love having this bigger mat. So Belle is trying to learn how to sew garments, and that means cutting a lot of large fabric, right? Sometimes even bigger than what we do with our quilting. So I've learned all about how you tape pattern pieces together, and this is a top. It's called the Mariner top. I'm going to be working on, and we're going to pretend there's a piece of fabric under here because I've already cut it. So here's, you see how big this is, and if I have fabric, you know, all the way around, which my camera is not completely zoomed out, so let me zoom out a little bit for you. So you see how big this is? I mean, there's extra room way down here, 42 inches. So then what I can do, if you pretend like I have fabric under here, you just put your boosters on. You don't have to use pattern weights anymore. I have like little ones that have got like sand in them, and they still move. So you just put all your boosters on here, and then, you know, you don't even have to use your hand. I mean, you got to put your hand somewhere, and then just, you know, go all the way around it like this. That's that. Nice, huh? And if you had a big enough table, I actually could move this mat this direction if I didn't want to have to move like if I didn't have to be at a weird angle, you know, like this, and kind of coming down around like this, I could actually move this mat. And I have room to do it if I move like my basket with all my notions and stuff on it. So that is another option if you make garments or you have large pattern pieces or whatever. Because there's a magnet inside the mat, you can do pattern pieces too, okay? Any questions on the new expanded system before I get into some of the other things that I have of theirs? So I've showed you all the mats now. So the 24 by 42, which is this great big one, you can cut now a full yard or a meter of fabric and see all the way around. So what happens is you're able to see all the measurements all the way around now, and it's not covered up down here at the end like when you use a 36-inch mat. And it's self-healing. There are some really great big cutting mats out there. I made the mistake of ordering one time, and it wasn't self-healing. It was just like plastic, and it didn't last very long at all. Okay, let me show you some of the other things that I have, and we'll be doing a giveaway at the end for you guys. So this is what I started with. I started with the coral dots, all right? And the coral dots are used for English paper piecing. So let me grab, I forgot to grab that for you guys. Let me grab 2 hexies over here so you can kind of see what that is all about. And I'm actually, the ones I'm grabbing have paper in them. Now y'all, if y'all know me, these are old ones. I don't use paper in my English paper piecing anymore. I have a whole system. I have a tutorial about it on how I use leave-in stabilizer because I hate taking the papers out. But I want to show you this with papers because a lot of people do use papers, and I want you to see kind of how effective these are. So the coral dots are what I started out with. I bought these, and I think I'm out in my shop of these, but Quilt Husband put the link for you in there. You can do the Belle 15 for 15% off, and these come with 5. This is a 5-pack, so they're, I've already taken out 2 of them that I use, but these are the coral dots. And so what it is there's the magnet on the back. So it looks like this, okay? So when you're doing English paper piecing, you've got right sides together like this. And these are strong. That's the other thing. These are really strong magnets. So some people, you know, if you go to the hardware store and get some, I've had people like really pinch and bruise their fingers. They've dropped them on their toes. So these work really good. And so it keeps your 2 pieces together because my fingers used to get really sore without these, of pressing kind of hard while I was stitching, and I did not realize how much my fingers were being kind of like crippled until I got these magnets. So this was what I started out with. Brenda, most of your mats are from garage sales. Yeah, and probably when you get them from a garage sale, they've probably been used a lot. So I know that this mat and this system is a bit pricey. That's definitely something you would save for sure, but it's going to last a long time, I think, just because of how well it's made. I'll keep you posted. We'll see how long. I mean, we'll see. I'll let you know eventually when it's time to replace it, and we'll see how long these last, but I know they're going to last a long time because the rotating cutting mat has been doing great, as well as my other one, and I haven't had any issues with it. But I understand, Brenda. Yeah, you know, in the quilty world, some things are just right a little expensive. So you've got to do what you can afford. And I always tell people that. Don't charge stuff on credit cards you can't afford or whatever. I think I've told the story of how I bought my Baby Lock Sashiko. Is I sold some jewelry that I never wore, and I was like, I'll sell the jewelry on eBay, and I paid cash for the machine. So yeah, because I was like, I'll use this machine more than I wear the jewelry. So, you know, we do what we have to do, right? But the 15% off will save quite a bit for the larger things because the cost is more. So that is just a little tip there for you. Okay, so you've got these. So this is the coral dots as an option. Then you've got two different kinds of 12 packs. And I'm gonna show you in a minute these. If you do long arming, these are really good for your leaders on your long arm machine. But if you don't need all those, here are your other options. So you've got the 12 pack that has the coral dots. And this is for English paper piecing and also hand applique, okay? So you've got the larger kind of rectangle ones also for some of your hand applique where you might need maybe that kind of shape. This has 12 in here. And when you open it up, there's a bunch in there. So it kind of shows you those. Then this is a 12 pack and this has got the 4 originals here. You've got, it's called 4Ds and then 4 magnums. And it's a lot. So this is good for embroidery, bag making, and garments. So these are a little bit more substantial. So you can see the size here, they just go up. So they go from the coral dot to these are called light mini bars right here, and the light bars. And then you've got the originals, the 4Ds, and the 4 magnums. And they get stronger, of course, the bigger that they are. So those are also some options for you too. You have a magnetic hoop, Brenda. What is a magnetic hoop? Oh, is that for embroidery? Oh, I've not seen one of those before. Who's that by? That's good to know. So that's what you got for English paper piecing. And bag making, garments, all of that are some options for you. They also have, and I use this for my English paper piecing, this, and let me move it to the face view so you can see. This actually is to keep your scissors or your snips or whatever handy, and it just holds that. Now, of course, the scissors really need to be down, not up to my face, but yeah, it will hold your snips on there. So that's really handy. And I haven't decided yet for my long arm, because you have to have your snips handy. I have a couple of options if I'm gonna wear, like there's one you can wear around your neck, there's this. Also, I'm gonna have a caddy. So I'm not sure yet how I'm gonna do that, but this is handy when I fly and I take my EPP kit. I take this with me and it keeps my scissors so it doesn't slide off on the floor when I'm flying and end up down the aisle. Some people keep this on when they're at their sewing machine to keep their snips on there. So that is another product that they have that I use also. So there's that. Also, let me show you the magnums. So these just came because, as you know, I got a gently used long arm. I'm hoping to get that thing going this weekend. We'll see. I came back with a bunch of stuff to do from vacation, so I'm a little behind. We've almost got it together. But with the long arm, there's leaders. So there's one in the back, there's one in the front. And normally what happens is you use long pins to pin in your quilt top and your quilt backing into those leaders. And from what my research before the long arm ever even came and figuring out how I was going to attach mine, I don't like getting poked with pins, and I could foresee that was going to happen. It happens a lot with people. So Sewtites sent me these, and they come in a pack of 20, and these are really strong magnets. So what you do is you sew, and you have to slide them because they're strong. You slide them to get them apart. There's 20 in a box, so you need 2 for an 8-foot frame. I think it also works for a 10-foot too. But you sew little channels, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial. Once I do one leader and I know what I'm doing, I'll do a tutorial on doing the second one. But you sew little channels into your leaders, and then you will just save these on the side, just pop them on the side of your long arm, or, you know, there's a little holder, I have a little cup for them. And then you'll just pretend this is sewn into your leader and there's fabric over it, and then you've put your quilt top over it, then this snaps down on it. And you do them, I believe I think it's every 2 inches all the way down. on both leaders. So I will be using these and getting used to that. I haven't done it yet, but you guys will get to kind of watch me with that. So that is another product that they have. And lastly is, and I've not used this yet because I already have right now a hanging system for my quilts. Let me zoom this back out. They have a quick hang system. So this is to hang your quilts. So what you do is you mount, there is a little strip in here that you mount to the wall. And then these gray magnets, they're gray so that there's not as much color. Now you can still see them when you know, if you think about putting them up at the top. If that bothers you, this product might not be for you. But otherwise, you just put the little magnets at the top, and you don't have to do what I have to do now. I have a wooden one, and I have to take the whole thing off the wall, unscrew some screws, put the quilt between the two pieces of wood, and put it back up. I have to use a ladder. There's kind of a lot to it. This is an option for that. Again, so I've not put this up yet. They sent this to me, but I did want to say, I can't say like how it works because I've not used it, but it is another option of what they have. All right. What questions do we have at all about any of the stuff that I have showed you guys today? Let me get my little scrolly thing here and see what we've got. A magnetic hoop. Okay, that's what you were talking about. Yeah, I've got a hoop that I'm doing some hand quilting for my very first quilt that I'm actually hand quilting. It's going to take a while, but I've not seen the magnetic kind, so might have to look into that. Let's see what else. Magnets are handy when long arming. So Brenda, do you have a long arm and you use these for that? You're still pinning to the leader. They're on your wish list. Okay. Well, they did this specifically. They made these specifically because so many quilters just were like, they were kind of piecemealing some of these, you know, the big packs. It was more expensive. They were like buying I think these came in a 5-pack and it was more expensive. And they wanted like a big pack specifically for long arming. So literally this is marketed. It's called the Long Armers 20-pack. And that way you don't have to deal with straight pins or some of the other loading mechanisms. I think there's called the red snappers, might be one of them, is what some people have used. I did all kinds of research before I decided what I was going to do, and I just decided I was just going to go for these because I've been happy with all of their products. Okay, y'all, you just logged on, Ether or Mary just logged on. Okay, so I just covered, and the recording will be up for you guys afterwards. I just did a whole thing on the Sewtites extended cutting mat that's 42 inches long, and the boosters and the rulers and all of the things so that you can live magnetically. That's Sewtites' slogan, to make things a little bit easier with some of your stuff. All right. So Mary, you can go back because this will be over in just a minute here after we do the giveaway. And you can kind of watch it all and see. This is all the stuff I have. And I use all of it, except I've not used the hanging system yet. I've not used that. And I haven't technically used these magnets on the long arm yet. But I've been a customer of theirs for a while before I actually became kind of an affiliate with them. So the links I've shared with you are affiliate links. So if you do end up buying anything, it helps me just a little bit with my time that I put into kind of bringing all this and sharing it with you. Any questions, y'all, before we end for the day? Get a couple of 8-inch bar magnets and attach cabinet knobs to them. Oh, okay. Keep the quilt off the floor. Well, I got one of the hammock. It's a hammock that fits underneath my long arm. And so it goes like all the way to the ends, and it keeps your batting and your fabric from hitting the floor. So I did the Handy Quilter hammock. I've got it, haven't put it on yet, but I did get that. You got the magnets, but would love the cutting mat to use with projector sewing. Okay, Mary, I'm glad you brought that up. I failed to mention that. So a lot of people that sew garments, or maybe other things that need it, they have their projectors. Some have it hanging from the ceiling. And with this magnetic mat, and you'll see me because I actually did kind of put a pattern piece on there for a top that I'm going to be making. It makes it so much easier with cutting. So yes, absolutely, Mary. Great to use for that too. All right, y'all. Well, if there's not any other questions, let's get ready to do the giveaway for the day, and we will end our time together. We've been on for an hour. Christine, what kind of sewing cabinet did I get for my new Juki? I'll have Quilt Husband drop the link in there for you. It is a Arrow sewing, and it is the Sydney XL. It's got the hydraulic system in there. So he'll drop the link in there for you so you can see what it's all about. He and I put it together, and it holds the bigger machine. So my Juki DX 4000 is a larger machine, and so I needed a new table. Besides, I have the Eleanor for my smaller Juki, but there's the link for you in case you need that. Hey, Teresa. Okay, y'all, let's get ready to do the giveaway. So what is the giveaway today? It is a set of your 3-pack of, it's called the Handy Mix. There's 1 dot, 1 mini, and 1 light bar for you guys to try. Again, for any handwork that you do, English paper piecing, you can use this for hand applique as well, all right? Oh yeah, y'all are welcome for the coupon. So anything you order with these links here, you can use Belle 15 and get 15% off. So don't forget that on the coupon codes. Y'all are welcome. They gave me the code, and I've got these they gave me also to share with one of you all. Okay, I have a number written down, and if y'all have watched before, there's been times I've actually grabbed the number because I wrote it down before the show, and I actually had the overhead on, so I had to do it again because people could see the number. So what we're gonna do, for those of you that have stayed and watched all of this, I'm going to send you one of these if you're in the United States. The shipping is free. If you're outside the United States, then I will have you email me. Whoever wins, just email me at belle@seamsewme.com and let me know you won, and I'll remember, you know, because I see on here who's going to win, and I'll mail this to you. Okay? All right. All right, we are gonna pick a number today, and I can see you guys, when you type in here, I see what you type about 18 seconds before you see what's in the chat, okay? So you might hear me say, oh, so-and-so got the number and you don't see it yet. That's because I'm 18 seconds ahead of you. So I just wanna mention that if you're like, how did she know that was the number? That's how. All right, I've got the number picked out. So let's pick a number between 1 and 25. Go. Type it in, and whoever gets the number first that I have written down, I will send these to you for free if you're in the United States. If you're outside the United States, you'll just need to cover shipping. All right, start typing away. Guess the number between 1 and 25. And whoever gets the number first that I've written wins. Do, 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 do. Okay, they're starting to show up. Starting to show up. Not yet. Keep going. Maybe a new person will win. I think I've had one person that's won twice now. Nobody's gotten it yet. I have to say, it's so fun to see y'all are so loyal to come on my lives. I appreciate y'all so much. The same names I'm seeing come every time. It's like my people. Nobody's gotten it yet. You guys keep guessing. I don't think it's ever taken this long for someone to get the number. Keep guessing, y'all. Oh, Brenda got it. It's number 9. Number 9, Brenda. Brenda got it first. Where is she? Back up here. Yep, Brenda. So Brenda, if you want to email me, I think I have your mailing address because a lot of you that are Threadmaster members, I have your mailing address because y'all are here all the time. But go ahead and email that to me, Brenda. Brenda J8689. You won. So you're going to get you some Sewtites today. I'll mail these out to you. They'll go out in the mail tomorrow. All right. Okay, friends. Well, that is all for today of Thread Life with Belle. My hope is to come back on Monday. It'll be Monday, probably about 1 o'clock again, to show you all the long arm. I won't actually be like long arming a quilt because I'm going to be practicing using it. So that is the plan tentatively. You'll know for sure when you see the thumbnail. Just hit the like button, the notification button. I'm sorry, the notification button. I mean, like the video today and subscribe if you haven't, but hit the notification button. And that way you'll know for sure. I'm also going to be doing a demo once I do one myself, 1 liter, of how to put these magnets into a liter for a long arm. And that may or may not be a live. It may be a recorded tutorial that'll be posted on my channel too. All right. Okay, Brenda, congratulations on winning. And you guys, I will see you probably on Monday, hopefully, to show you the long arm and what I've got. It's got the robotic system on there. Thanks for being here, y'all. To my thread masters, to those of you who've been with me since the beginning of my Thread Life with Belle lives, I really, really appreciate y'all a lot. It's so fun to be with you when I go back. Okay, yep. Well, so for those of you that didn't get to see all of it, it'll be posted up and you'll be able to see the recording in a bit. You guys have a fabulous, fabulous weekend. And until next time, quilty friends, make lovely things. Bye, y'all.